Avoiding dangerous drugs and medication. Mankind's use of various chemicals to change moods and alter feelings is ancient and widespread. Ethyl alcohol was probably the first of such chemicals and may have been the most widely popular drug for this use. Some drugs have legitimate value and are beneficial when administered by knowledgeable physicians if used solely as directed, and discontinued when they are no longer a medical necessity. As AA members, not physicians, we are certainly not qualified to recommend any medications, nor are we qualified to advise anyone not to take a prescribed medication. What we can do responsibly is to offer only our personal experience. Drinking became, for many of us, a sort of self-medication. We often drank to feel better and to feel less sick. And thousands of us used other chemicals too. We discovered pet pills that seemed to counteract a hangover or relieve our depression until they let us down too. Sedatives and tranquilizers that could substitute for the alcohol and calm our jitters. Bromides and non-prescriptive pills and elixirs, many of them called non-addictive or not habit forming, that helped us sleep or gave us extra energy or loosened our inhibitions or floated us away on an exquisite surge of bliss. Potentially, this strong desire, almost a need for such psychoactive, mind-affecting mood changers can be embedded root deep in anybody who is much of a drinker. Even if technically, in pharmacological terms, a drug is not a physiological and addictive one, we can easily get habituated to it and dependent on it. We have repeatedly found it is as if addictive proneness was a condition inside us, not a quality of the drug itself. Some of us believe that we have become addictive people, and in our experience gives reinforcing support to that concept. So we go to great lengths to avoid all street drugs, marijuana, crank, downers, uppers, cocaine, hash, hallucinogens, speed, and even many of the over-the-counter pills and nostrum, as well as tranquilizers. Even to those of us who never got hooked on any of them, it is clear that they represent a real potential danger, for we have seen it demonstrated over and over and over again. Drugs will often reawaken the old craving for oral magic or some kind of high or peace. And if we get by with using them once or twice, it often seems ever so much easier to pick up a drink.
Stop right there. So that happened to me. Um, I came to AA in 1975, and I was clean, and I got clean and sober. And then a year after I was sober, I got hired at the Alcohol Recovery Center to run the night shift, and I had to hand out meds at night. I worked midnight till 8, and so the meds that we handed out were Valium and Librium and whatever else the doctor prescribed. It was all in there in the drawer, the top drawer. And I started taking Valium right there myself so that I could sleep. I'd work up till 8 in the morning, and then I couldn't sleep during the day. So I'd pop a Valium, go to sleep, and then I became addicted to them. Um, and then once I left the ARC, I started getting prescriptions from doctors. So, you've heard this saying sometimes, in Narcotics Anonymous, they have the definition of an alcoholic is somebody with a Valium deficiency. That was me. I didn't realize, in AA, they call it California sober. What's that? People in California, they smoke pot, go to AA meetings, eat prescription drugs like what they're talking about here, put me right in the hospital. I didn't have to worry about picking up a drink. I was taking the drink in pill form. So then I had to go through, detox all over again and reset my anniversary from February 1975 to December 27th, 77. So this is a common experience, so we have to be really careful about this. All right, go ahead, Lori, you can pick up reading right there. You with us, Lori?
The Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous is not an anti-drug or anti-marijuana lobby. As a whole, we take no moral or legal position either for or against any other substance. Every member of AA, though, is entitled, like any other adult, to hold any opinion on these matters and to take any action that seems right to him or to her. This is somewhat similar to AA members' position, or probably non-position is more accurate, on booze and drinking. As a fellowship, we are not anti-alcohol or against drinking for the millions of people who can use it without causing any harm, either to themselves or to others. Some, but not all of us who have been sober a while, are quite willing to serve drinks in our homes to our non-alcoholic guests. To drink or not is their right. Not to drink or to drink if we choose is equally our right, and we have no quarrel with what other people do. We have generally concluded for ourselves only that drinking is not good for us, and we have found ways of living without it which we much prefer to our drunken days. Not all, but quite a few recovered alcoholics find that their body chemistry has become permanently tolerant to pain-killing drugs. So they have to have extra large doses when an analgesic or anesthetic is required for medical purposes. Some of us report adverse reactions to local anesthetics, such as Novocaine, injected by a dentist. At the least, we leave the chair extremely nervous, and the condition may last quite a while, unless we can lie down a bit to let it wear off. The company of another recovered alcoholic is soothing at such times. Other recovered alcoholics report no such adverse reactions. No one has any idea how to predict in which instances such reactions will occur. Anyhow, it is surely wise to tell our doctor, dentist, and hospital anesthesiologist the whole truth about our former drinking and pill taking, if any, just as they know other facts about our health history.
Okay, did you read a page?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Sam. You're up.
Hey, thanks, Jan. Sam, alcoholic here. Where was it? All right. Proving the drug. Were we on page 54, correct? Trying to keep track. Let's see. The end of it? There we go. When he granted her, no. She laughed and did without it, and has had no such desire since. 5 years later, she is still sober and healthy. She occasionally tells of the incident at AA meetings to illustrate her own belief that a permanent addiction proneness persists even during sobriety in anyone who has ever had a drinking problem. So most of us try to make sure any physician or dentist who serves us understands our personal history accurately and is sufficiently knowledgeable about alcoholism to understand our risk and medications. And we are wary of what we take on our own. We steer away from our cough syrups with alcohol, codeine, or bromides, and from all those assorted smokes, powders, synthetic painkillers, liquids, and vapors that are sometimes freely handed around by unauthorized pharmacists or amateur anesthesiologists. Why take a chance? It is not at all difficult, we find, to skip such risky brushes with disaster, purely on grounds of health, not of morality. Through Alcoholics Anonymous, we have found a drug-free way of life, which to us is far more satisfying than any we ever experienced with mood-changing substances. The chemical magic we felt from alcohol, our substitutes for it, was all locked within our own heads anyhow. Nobody else could share the pleasant sensations inside us. Now we enjoy sharing with one another in AA, or with anybody outside AA, our natural, undoped happiness. In time, the nervous system becomes healthy and thoroughly conditioned to the absence of mood changing drugs. When we feel more comfortable without them than we felt while we were using them, we come to accept and trust our normal feelings, whether high or low. Then we have the strength to make healthful, independent decisions, relying less on impulse or the chemically triggered urge for immediate satisfaction. We can see and consider more aspects of a situation than before, can delay gratification for the sake of more enduring long-term benefits, and can better weigh not only our own welfare, but also that of others we care for.
Mhm.
Chemical substitutes for life simply do not interest us anymore, now that we know what genuine living is.
All right. Thank you for reading, Sam. Thanks everybody for reading. And then Ron, would you keep track that that's where we left off, and Aaron, you too, and Rebecca. Where did we leave off? So we'll pick it up next week. We read 5 different books in this meeting, as everybody knows. So, well, this is a really good topic, I think, being clean and sober. I mean, I don't think too many of us in here have a big problem with that, right? But I certainly did early on, and there were people that were giving me that bad advice early on, like, oh, I'd take a Valium every now and then. Well, for me, it was dangerous as hell, uh, really bad, because I came in, I was in my 20s, I was part of the drug culture, the whole alternative culture. So it's like I knew all about drugs before I got here, even though I came in here because of alcohol. It was like, but as soon as somebody gave me permission to, well, it's okay, you can do, well, it's not okay. I mean, I was down the road. It's very, very dangerous, very tricky. Let's go over to our old friend Jeff with 39 years. How about you, Jeff? What do you have to say about this topic?
Jeff, alcoholic, South Florida. Yeah, so far so good. I haven't had any problem with that, but I would point out that some people say about AA. Oh, one of the troubles with AA is that it tells you don't listen to doctors and stuff like that. Really take that's wrong. Right in the big book or in what we're reading now, it's under medical direction, so long as they know that we're alcoholic or addicts. Uh, yeah, that's very important to work with them. I agree with you. We should just not fool with anything unless it's prescribed. And even then, tell the people,
Oh, hey, I had prescription drugs up the wazoo.
really?
I was working 10 doctors at a time.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
a whole
Okay.
bullshit move. It's a
Okay.
dangerous move. And
Wow.
I mean, now today, of course, I'm almost 80 years old, and there's certain drugs I have to take. They're not mind altering, but like I take blood blood thinners, blood pressure medication, pravastatin, uh, allopurinol, aspirin a day. So, but they don't really, I don't get juiced on them. But when I was younger, first came in the program, um, it was a real problem for me. Let's go up and ask Aaron about this. How about you, Aaron?
100%. I used to do the doctor shopping too and had a thing with benzos the first time in sobriety. It's very, very dangerous. Like you said, it's a substitution for alcohol. And I strongly would, I mean, because yeah, you can get a doctor to prescribe them to you, but Jeff did have a point though. You have to be completely honest about being alcoholic, and you got to know that any kind of painkillers or benzos are bad news pretty much. So I would avoid them at all costs.
I would go in and say, I'm just like shaky and I'm nervous and I can I get some Quaaludes from you? Because they would, oh, Quaaludes are very addictive. Well, they're not to me. I had them prescribed before and they really kind of helped me. Well, we could give you a month prescription. So I could get like 30, 914. Yeah, we could do that. Okay, okay. And then I go back. Hi, and then they have pain clinics. I think they busted all the pain clinics. How many people do I know in AA that started going to the pain clinics to get
Mhm.
pills, and then they take it down on the creek path here in Boulder, sell it for black tar heroin? It's like, Jesus H. Christ. Ron, how about you?
Oh, I've had my fair share of, I'm like Aaron with benzos in the past. I substituted benzos for drinking.
What are benzos? What are they, Valium or what is it?
Valium, Xanax,
Oh, okay.
Librium. That's
Klonopin.
benzodiazepines is the class of drugs, but
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that
opiates
was me
the same
then. That
way.
was me. Mhm.
Whatever I can do to get a feeling of exhilaration, whether it be gambling, sex, money, I try to avoid, I have to be careful with those things.
All right, there you go. Okay, good. How about you, Daryl? Anything there?
Well, I started out with narcotics because of some injuries in the military,
Hmm.
and I got off narcotics and went into therapy and started taking Suboxone and whatnot. I'm off narcotics completely,
There
and
you go.
I find it revolting to take a pill at all now. But then I turned to alcohol.
Well, that's good. You're here and you're coming every day. So, you know, for pretty soon you're going to get quit. You'll be all right. I've sponsored a lot of guys in the military who had were wounded and injuries, and they not only got off of the narcotics, they got off of the alcohol too, and live you know, pretty normal lives. They just take you know, Tylenol or something like that, not too much, you know. And so
I've taken
anyways, good.
ibuprofen or Tylenol. That's it.
Well, good for you. Glad you're here. Welcome aboard. Okay, Rebecca, how about you?
Oh, yes. So yeah, it started with Quaaludes because my father was a doctor, so the sales reps would come in and give him free Quaaludes, and I volunteered to clean his office. So yeah, I had my fair share there. Um, you know, I have a license to prescribe drugs, and I have abused that. With Klonopin, I take to sleep. Initially, alcohol and Klonopin were to come down off cocaine, but then obviously I got addicted to it, and I no longer take Klonopin to sleep. And it's been a struggle, but I do get my sleep. So yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. Um, okay, so good. So you're off. You're pretty much off everything then, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's good. I take, you know, no, I mean, Jeff brought it up, but I mean, like, I had a stroke. I'm a stroke survivor. One of the things that almost killed me was, prior to the stroke, I wasn't taking the medications that the doctors prescribed for me so I wouldn't have a stroke. So I didn't take anything, and then bam, now I listen to them. You know, that was one of the dumbest things I ever did. You know, start listening to people that say, well, but you know, when you have certain conditions, you know, like heart, da 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 da, you better take with it. And I'm really lucky. I'm fortunately and hooked up with a very good, um, you know, medical program here in Boulder, Colorado. Lori, how about you?
I'm Lori, I'm an alcoholic. I have never I've never taken like Valium, any of the benzodiazepines, because I don't do well with them. For some reason, I can drink alcohol okay, but those meds make me crazy. And but I have had experience with narcotics, given them from, not that I go out in the street and buy them, but if I get a prescription, I don't take the recommended dose. So I've always had to have somebody monitor what I take.
And now you're clean and sober?
Oh yeah. No, I took
Good.
when I had surgery, but I had to have be monitored then or I'd take them all in one day.
Yeah, and I've had, God, in the past 7 years, I've had one, two, three, four. I've had 5 surgeries, and I have had to take pain meds for the surgeries. But you know, I had a lot of AA under my belt, and they call it insurance. So when I had these surgeries and I was at home, I did take the medications as they were prescribed, and everything worked out fine. You know, I didn't get addicted. I didn't, feel et cetera, et cetera. It's just one of those things. So it helps if you go to AA meetings because you get AA in your system. And I couldn't go to meetings. Zoom hadn't started. And in the one year, 2017, I only went to 5 meetings that year. I was seriously messed up. I was like, I couldn't even walk hardly. I was in a wheelchair and a walker, but I did go to some flat AA meetings. But Jeff, it was not like I had skipped a beat. You know what I mean? I just didn't that insurance we talk about in AA.
Mhm.
You talk about that?
Yes. Yes, insurance. In other words, Jeff Alcoholic, let's make a lot of meetings. Let's make a lot of, connections with people in AA because there might come a time when we need it, when we are isolated in situations because we're incapacitated and we have to take medication. And so we take it right and we don't let that alcoholic or drug addicted mind of ours take over. Could come
What do
back
you
to
think
life.
about
Yeah.
that insurance? Do you believe if you go to enough AA meetings, you build up a type of insurance for when you really need it? Like with me, a year in and out of hospitals and rehab.
Well, yeah, in a sense, yes. Why? Because if you felt you were going to pick up a drug or use them indiscriminately, what would you do? You would call someone, wouldn't you reach
I'd
out?
call you. I'd call you.
You call me, yeah, sure, I'd help you, sure, sure.
I'd say,
Or,
Jeff,
or someone, yeah, yeah.
I'd call somebody. And
Well,
all
let me
right,
ask you this: if you've ever had these feelings, well, what have you done? You could tell me. I don't know.
say what now?
What would you do if I went through, I'll share this with you. I went through a bit of a situation. My wife took multiple medications, before, for the years before she passed, and she was,
Hmm.
things happened. She had a seizure, and so she wouldn't know what time, not time was to think she'd missed a dose when she hadn't. It's difficult. I was there to deal with it. I had to learn right just from the get go. But and if you get isolated, you don't reach out to people like she wouldn't reach out to other people
Oh yeah,
because she had me there. What do you do? What did you do when
it's
in
very
your
tough.
situation?
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, this is before Zoom, and I'm stuck at home. So I had a case manager. I'll tell you what they did. They hooked me up with Meals on Wheels, came every day. I had a home care. So I had a visiting nurse every week. I had a physical therapist. Anybody else ever have this occupational therapist? Um, I had all these people. Yeah, they're waving hands. All these people coming in, and I would talk to them. They were like sponsors. And then I'm, in the hospital, out, da 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 da. And I had friends from AA who would come over, but it was tough. I mean, that's why I thank God for Zoom. We can get on here. We can get on any meeting. It's the greatest thing
Mhm.
ever. All right, let's go up to Sam. Go ahead. Your experience.
Hey, Jan. Thank you. Sam, grateful alcoholic. Actually, I'm very grateful for having this discussion here about drugs, opioids, painkillers, etc. Because obviously, as you're well aware, and some people on here are aware, just recently had surgery and they've given me like 8 different types of drugs, half of which are painkillers. I've had a complicated history with drugs myself. I used to be a frequent cannabis user up until around 2016, 2017, then infrequently until 2018. And then I joined the military, so I cut off completely, went cold turkey, had no problems with it. Fortunately, I substituted with alcohol, and that's why I'm here, of course.
Well, tell us
Fast
about
forward.
your surgery. You just had a surgery.
Yep, last Thursday. Yeah, sorry. Okay, Thursday the 12th. I had ACL surgery. They gave me a bunch of painkillers. They had me on this regimen. My surgeon, who's more of a, I guess, modern new take surgeon who tries to stay away from opioids, but he's given me a lot of Valium. He's given me a lot of like extra strength Tylenol and obviously the Oxy for emergencies. And since I just started PT a couple of days ago, I've had to take the Oxy more often since my pain level has increased. Now, I'm deadly afraid of falling into the trap of the opioid addiction, of the Valium addiction. So yeah, I
Yeah.
would highly, highly appreciate
I will
yourself
tell
and
you
Tim.
something.
Go
Just
ahead.
come here. You can call me anytime. But I had surgeries, and I
Mhm.
was doing the under-medicated thing, and the doctor's like, no, take the damn pain medication
Yep.
because you're stressing out. And he said, that's the worst thing for you. But I didn't have the feeling of, oh boy, here you go, I'm hooked. That never happened to me. And so, anyways, thank you for sharing. Mario, where are you at? How about you?
Oh, I just, I didn't have a problem with that. I remember when I first started to get sober, I had wisdom teeth pulled, and I was heavily sedated. And then this was about 20 plus years ago, but I knew that I didn't. I knew I had an addiction problem, but I didn't want to take the prescription as it's kind of like you, Jan. I was under medicating, and thankfully I made it through that. I really only had problems with narcotics. I Marijuana was huge. I did that all the time. I did dabble into cocaine a little bit, but I also, I think someone Sam mentioned, like I myself was scared to get into that type of addiction of that hard narcotics, and so really alcohol was my avenue to get away from that. And then, of course, I get it. I have a problem with alcohol, but
So now
I'm
you're
grateful.
73 days clean and sober.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm grateful to God. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, 100%. I know exactly. Hey, and wisdom teeth, man, are they the triggers? I had my wisdom teeth out, and I went to, at the time I was poor. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I went to a clinic, and I had an internist take out my wisdom teeth, and he left bone fragments in there, and I was in extreme pain. I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I completely cracked up. I went to pieces. Um, so we have to be careful around medical things too, make sure we have the right doctor, the operations are done properly. And but that was the big trigger. My wisdom teeth coming out was the big trigger for me to start doing drugs, alcohol. I mean, at that point, everything happened. Lost the business, lost the house, wife left. I mean, it was a disaster. And it threw me right into drugs, hardcore. I was like, what the hell? Okay, Joe, you're up. You have to unmute. There you go.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm an alcoholic. When I first went to AA, and I remember somebody had to get surgery, and they were like, well, talk with your doctor and make sure they know you're an addict and things like that. And I was just astounded. I really did not understand the connection between the two. I am one of those people, I absolutely hate taking pills, hate them. I will take them for pain. I will take anything at the dentist, and I get off it as soon as I possibly can because I hate the way it's so funny because I feel like I can control myself, express myself, control myself with alcohol in the sense that I feel like I'm socially okay when I go out. Even if I hear reports to the contrary, I feel like I'm okay. But I never feel like I'm okay with drugs. They never scare me.
And not only that, here you are in an AA meeting, so you're not
No, I
okay with
know, but
alcohol either.
I hate taking pills. If
Yeah.
I broke my shoulder and yes, I took them, I don't like the side effects. I don't like anything about
All right,
them.
well, listen up here. Listen up. So, you want to be very careful with that. So, and you're talking to somebody who had the same attitude that you did. I damn well nearly killed myself because I didn't take the I didn't take the Pravastatin, the blood thinners, the things that I needed to take, and it nearly fucking killed me. So, we're talking about being under medicated. So you have to not let your mind and your stubbornness get in the way of your medical health. Ryan, how about you? Go.
Hi, Ryan, alcoholic, 13 days. I've only had two surgeries in my life, and I was really young, and it was some teeth and for my foot. Um, and I was never drawn towards that. And then in college, go to parties and I see a lot of people taking drugs, and I just was never attracted to how they would respond to it. So I never really went down that route. I've
Right.
smoked marijuana before,
Yep.
didn't like the way that made me feel, but definitely was a social drinker. And then that just kind of got
And
further
now you're
and
not.
further.
All right, listen, glad you're here, 100%. Stacy, go.
Okay, so for me, I went through a detox in 2020 to get off of alcohol and to get off of benzos because I was prescribed benzos. Long story short, I had a seizure because I stopped taking them, so I had to go through rehab to get off of them. And then I decided to get off all of my medication, which was for my mental health,
Oh,
which
yeah.
eventually led me to a psychotic break in 2022. So now I take a ton of medication just for my mental health. And Klonopin is one of them, and it's a benzo, but they were very hesitant to give that to me because of my alcoholic past. Like I've been very open with my doctors about my alcohol use. And like if you tell them you're an alcoholic, they do not want to give you a benzo. But that benzo that I take is really helpful for my bipolar. So it's kind of I've never abused the prescriptions,
Okay. All
but
right, so I
I
get it.
stopped taking them.
100%. Listen, we have, just so you guys know, we've had people here just this past month or so. People leave this meeting, then what they do is they stop taking their psychiatric drugs, um, with or without the doctor's approval. Usually they're in a clinic and they see a psychiatrist once a month or once every 2 months, and they don't really know what's going on because this poor psychiatrist is handling 300 people. And I mean, we had a guy recently just dump his psychotic meds, and he dumped the AA program too. That's always really dumb. I mean, I've seen that in this past year. At least 6 people blew out of this meeting by stopping their psychiatric drugs. Um, Now that can be very dangerous. I mean, before the person's coming to meetings and they're normal, and then they come back and they start talking about how they were with Admiral Byrd when he discovered the North Pole. I'm like, well, that was like 1910. You're only 30 years old. Okay. Let's see, Ivan, how about you? Anything there, Ivan? 10, 10 S, how about you? Everybody shares in this meeting or I yell at you. 10 S, 10 S. It's like Timmy. Oh, 10 S. Shannon, Florida.
Hi,
Oh,
hi.
go ahead.
Sorry, I have my kids. I can't talk, but I really do not have any experience with any drugs
All right,
per
well,
se.
glad you're here.
Yes.
100%. Okay, Shannon.
Shannon, alcoholic. Okay, my original sobriety date back in 2017, I went to my physician to explain my situation. He recommended I go to rehab, which I did, but then he put me on Xanax. He's a good doctor. He honestly believed that he was doing the correct thing for me, but he was giving me so many pills. I mean, he'd give me like 61 milligram, or no, it was 90. He'd prescribe 91 milligram Xanax pills and say, here you go, just take them as needed, and this went on for like 3-4 years. And I didn't realize that it was a bad
Yeah.
thing because he was behind it, right? I only realized like last year that it was having
Not all these
There- there-
doctors know what the hell they're doing. We have a lady in here right now, she's not here today, who just is like, she had to go to treatment to get off of all this crap. So not all these doctors know what they're doing. Okay, so this is a good meeting. Wow, we have not had this discussion ever, I don't think, in this group. But I want to ask, hey, Aaron, can you read the promises? Do you have them there?
I do not have them in front of me, but if somebody can put them up. Or are they in the big book? Yeah, they're in the big book, the 9 step
They're in the
promises,
big
my
book.
bad. Yeah, I do have them right here.
83.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sam's going to put them up.
Okay,
Sam's
these are the 9 step promises. If we are painstaking about this phase of our recovery, Aaron, alcoholic, painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom, a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them.
All right, thank you. Here comes the serenity prayer. It goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This meeting is officially over. And if anybody has any questions about this group, I didn't call on Harry Berto, did I?